How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. So today I thought it'd be fun to talk through some of my personal wish list for the new Modern Warfare 2 title that's coming out later on this year. Now, this is just some of my own ideas and stuff I've seen a lot of the community speak about as well, so I'm sure you will agree on quite a few of these things. The gameplay in the background is just a ranked game on Hardpoint on Berlin and Vanguard, where we do manage to get a nice little win here, and it's pretty good gameplay, so just something to watch in the background. But we'll get right into it now, guys, and don't forget to leave me your own personal wish list and things you'd like to see inside of the new game down below in the comments. So first, I'd like to talk about the SBMM, so the skill-based matchmaking. Personally, I'd like to see it removed or sort of toned right down, where you don't have to play against sort of sweaty people. Because, you know, I'm sure we've all experienced this in the recent CODs. If you get one or two really good games in a row, you get placed into lobbies with absolute demons, and it just feels like you're playing against the best in the world sometimes. And it can be hard for sort of casual players. Say you hop on just after work for like an hour or two each night. It can sort of ruin your gaming experience, where you just want to kick back with your mates, but you end up playing against the hardest players in the game. Obviously, this is, you know, for the top players, it is kind of fair for them to play against the best players, but you even see some of the pro players, like even Scump sort of complains about this sometimes. It would just be nice to see it toned down and not be as heavy. And this leads on to our next topic of a good ranked play from the start. Now, obviously in Vanguard, it's taken a few months for it to come out. Obviously, they're just working on it. I'm pretty happy with the Vanguard ranked play, though. It is pretty decent, and I would like to see this same sort of setup in the next game, with a few little adjustments to the SR ratings as well, because obviously it has been a little bit dodgy where you just lose points for winning and stuff like that, although I do believe they have worked on it, so we will see how this plays out. But yeah, I would like to see a good rank play sooner in the game, if not from the start. Now, I would like to see some good classic free lane maps inside of this new game as well. I'm sure they'll hit with this, but sometimes, you know, you find some of the bigger maps have just useless areas that you don't end up using too much. Vanguard's not too bad for this, but some of the more recent CODs as well, you've had just areas that don't really come into play too much in most game modes. But I'd like to see some good remastered maps as well. I believe there has already been a few that have been confirmed, like Terminal and maps like that from the old classic Modern Warfare 2 games. Just be fun to see some more of these more remastered fan favourite maps, like we see Nuketown in most of the Black Ops games in that series, and also I believe it was in Cold War. Yeah, it was. But yeah, it'd be cool to see these style of maps return. Now, the classic minimap is what I would like to see. The Vanguard minimap's not too bad, but I don't want to see it return like Modern Warfare 2019, where you don't really have one, and you just have that compass at the top of the map, at the top of the screen, sorry. And I would like to see just red dots on the map if someone's shooting, where you don't need to use a perk for this. I think this is more of that classic COD feel, like back in the old MW2 sort of Black Ops days as well. Just, you know, that's how it should be in COD, in my opinion, where if someone shoots, they pop up on the map and you can just sort of play off that. And this frees up a perk slot for you as well. But once again, that's just my opinion. Now, as far as weapons goes, I would love to see some classic Modern Warfare 2 fan favourite weapons, such as the ACR and maybe the UMP45. Now, I can't remember the last time we saw the ACR, but these guns were just crazy back in the day. And how mad would it be if they added the old intervention back? I think a lot of fans would get this just for this, even if they added maybe Rust as well as a sort of remastered map. Imagine the old 1v1s, it'd be very nostalgic, and I think this would be a really good selling point for them. You could even add the Barrett 50 cal. I'd be happy with just all of the weapons, to be honest, because they were so good. Obviously not as OP as they once were, they could balance it out a little bit, but it would be cool to see that. Even some of the same old perks as well. Some of the perks just feel a little bit more useless in these more recent games, whereas I don't actually know what some of the perks do. That's because you just use the ones that are the best, pretty much. But back in the day, you'd play around with some of the perks and just sort of use them and how you want to play, really. Now, I doubt that we'll see this, but a classic prestige system would be really cool. I personally love the Modern Warfare 3 prestige system, where obviously back in the day, you used to prestige and you go back to level 1 and lose all the guns. But in Modern Warfare 3, I believe you unlock the prestige tokens, where you could sort of unlock something from the start. So you could unlock, say, the ACR, for example, and you could play with that all of the prestige. but I doubt this will happen with the Battle Pass, and it'll probably just keep going on more of a season-based thing. But it's not too bad either. It's quite fun unlocking stuff all the time, but it would be cool to see this implemented back into the games. One for us console players would be an FOV slider. I think this is pretty likely because Cold War had one and so does Vanguard. But I have heard rumours that the whole Warzone 2 thing is going to include an FOV slider for consoles as well as PC. So this would be huge because I know a lot of console players moan about this. Personally, it doesn't affect me too much. It would be cool to play with FOV on Warzone, but I'm just hoping for Modern Warfare 2 they keep this slider in. I think they probably will, though. It's quite a likely one to include in the game. I would like to see the gunsmith altered a little bit. Maybe 5 attachments like back in Modern Warfare 2019. I quite like this style. Obviously in Vanguard we have 10, which can be cool at times where you can really customize your gun, but it can be a little bit frustrating even for sort of casual players not knowing the best attachments to put on it unless you sort of look up on YouTube. But either one's fine. I'm not too bothered about this. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this one though. But back in the day we only had one attachment to play with, which personally I think kept the game a lot more straightforward. But once again, I can't see them sort of changing this. I think they'll keep it in the sort of 10 attachments, especially with Warzone and just all that. If you sort of add guns in that only have one attachment versus 10, And also there is the argument that you can still only put one attachment on, but you're going to be at a disadvantage if somebody's got like a barrel, a muzzle, just, loads of different things. But it's something to think about. Personally, I don't want to see destructible surfaces like walls and windows that you can break through the wood on them. I personally don't think this feels like a good Call of Duty feature, if that makes sense. Doors, though, on the other hand, I quite like the doors. I think they add some interesting plays that you can use and how you can peek through them and that sort of thing. And you can burst through them on people and make some cool plays. But yeah, the destructible surfaces, I really don't think they belong in a COD game. That's more, of your Ghost Recon thing. Not Ghost Recon, sorry, Siege. But yeah, I personally like to see that gone. And as far as movement goes as well, kind of links in. I'd like to see it similar to Modern Warfare 2019. I think this felt a lot smoother than it did in Vanguard. Obviously, it's the same as the Warzone movement. Warzone feels a lot smoother when you hop on that after playing Vanguard. Sometimes Vanguard feels a little bit sluggish. You obviously have to change a couple settings here and there to help you sort of work on your slides. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the movement. I think they'll keep slide cancelling or some sort of slide anyway, but we'll see. As far as camos go, I hope they add in some more interesting sort of mastery camos. It'd be cool to see some better ones and just less of the sort of plain boring ones that we see in this game that are just sort of colours that nobody really likes to see. Maybe if they added less camos but more interesting ones, make them a little bit harder to get. Like I personally loved the just get this many headshots and you get this camo. That kept it a lot more straightforward. But it is fun having a lot of different camos to use. This allows you to make some cool looking guns. And just a lot more sort of replay availability really in the game, because obviously once you complete all the challenges then you haven't really got too much to do, but a lot of people love that camo grind. So either one, to be honest, doesn't affect me too much because I don't really go for the mastery camos, but I've seen a few people speak about this online that they're not a big fan of the atomic one on Vanguard. Now, back on the topic of perks, I would love to see the ghost only working whilst you're moving feature added once again. I personally like this because it stops people sat in corners when you've got a UAV and they have to keep moving around the map. I personally do like this feature, and also I like that dead silence as a perk. So if you got rid of the ninja perk and just made it a classic dead silence, or even a ninja perk itself, personally I think this would be a cool feature to the game, to be honest, just because it stops people with those silent footsteps, but you can use it in certain plays, especially in things like S&D. I think this would make a huge difference, and I think that would improve the game as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention the time to kill. I'd like to see it a little bit slower than in Vanguard. Obviously in this game you literally die in a couple bullets across the map with some guns, and it feels a little bit, like, I don't know, people catch you off guard and you just die very, very easily. It's not too bad, it's if once you get used to it, you can sort of use it to your advantage, I guess. But some of the guns don't really help, or they're OP. Maybe this just comes down to weapon balancing, I'm not really sure. But I'd like to see sort of Cold War time to kill, where it's a little bit slower than in sort of Vanguard. But we'll see what they do with that one. Let me know your thoughts down below. So guys, that's going to do it for my Modern Warfare 2 wish list. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Once again, these are just all my personal opinions. I just put together a few things on a little list that I wanted to mention to you guys. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But thank you all for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one.